Hello everyone, my name is Anya Hawkins. Welcome to my project vlog. Sometimes in the evenings I can be pretty tired, both physically and mentally, and my default method of recharging my batteries, so to speak, is knitting. I usually put on some comforting movie, something that I know that I like, or I put on some all-time favorite TV show, or I just catch up on my subscription feed on YouTube. And I grab my knitting project and I spend a couple of hours relaxing with it. Watching something enjoyable and doing something with my hands works like a meditation for me. It helps me center myself, it helps me calm my nerves, it helps me sleep afterwards, and especially when I'm having a hard day, I very much looking forward to my movie/knitting night because I know that I will have this opportunity to decompress. But lately, I find myself with nothing on my needles, and those movie nights don't work nearly as well when I'm not knitting. But how did it happen? Why I don't have anything to knit? I figured it out. That's because I got caught in a trap of thinking that everything should be a pattern. I always have been a monogamous knitter, and not surprisingly, it turned out that I'm a monogamous pattern writer also. But pattern writing is a long process that involves many stages, and only some of them are actually knitting. The two patterns that I'm currently working on are not on the knitting stages right now. Would you like to have a sneak peek at them? Sure you would. This is my Calamagrostis sweater, and this is Aprica top. So, as I was saying, I'm reluctant to cast on anything new right now, because I know myself, and I know that if I cast on anything with a goal of making a knitting pattern, I will get distracted from my projects that I currently work on. So I probably shouldn't do that. I shouldn't cast on anything with a goal of making a knitting pattern. There's always an option of knitting socks while I'm watching a movie, but I'm not in a sock mood right now. But I have a plan. I finally realized that in order to save my knitting/movie nights from extinction, I need to divide into two completely separate activities: knitting for pattern writing and knitting for fun and relaxation. And now it seems obvious to me, but it wasn't before. So the project that I will be knitting, I will design myself, but I'm not going to put any pressure on myself, and I will not even think about making it into a pattern. It's only for fun and relaxation. The only thing left is to decide what it's going to be. And for this, I need to choose yarn or yarns, I don't know yet, because I'm a yarn first person, and then I can have my favorite movie/knitting nights again. Let's pick some yarn. But tomorrow. Today I don't have any time left. On the very next day, I took my trusty stash catalog and started browsing through it in search of the perfect yarn for my project. I did not know what will inspire me, but I knew that I want to knit a sweater. I am a practical knitter, and I always tried to knit things that I needed, that I know I would wear. I have enough warm sweaters, and I have a need for a more transitional one. Right now I have only one such garment, and when I knitted it, I never expected it to become one of my most worn pieces. This is how it looks. I worn it so much that I had to mend the sleeves 2 times. It was just a project for using up scraps of the yarn, and for it I used almost everything I had at the time. I just thrown it all together without even bothering about the fact that some yarns were of different weights. And it turned out amazing. I love the fit, the colors, and the lightness of it. It were mostly finger and weight yarns left over from knitting socks. I want now to replicate not the look, but the feel of this sweater. And the first yarn that jumped at me was thin white mohair that I had for some time. But since I do not want white sweater, and I don't have sweater quantity of this yarn anyway, I continued to look for another colors to go with it. In the end, I stopped on 5 colors: gray, pink, dark red, that reminds me of blackberry juice, dark yellow, and white to tie it all together. And now to the yarn storage, that is not in the house itself. On an information card for every yarn in my catalog, there is a number that tells me in what bag to look for it in the storage. Every yarn is in its own bag tied with a piece of that yarn to show what's inside, and all of them inside of a plastic bags with a number on them. They have to be plastic and airtight to protect the yarn against moth invasion. I have the yarn, but before I could start on my sweater, there is one more step of preparation. The yellow and the dark red yarn are actually much thicker than I need them to be. Thankfully, it's a yarn that originally wasn't intended for hand knitting. This is a yarn for a commercial knitting machine. So it consists of thin 2-ply threads that can be separated and then combined to any yarn weight, which is what I'm doing right now. Sometimes I need to clamp the yarn to the ball in order to remove excessive twist from it. It took about an hour to do both of them. I will not do any swatching because it's a casual project and I worked with those yarns before, so I know approximately what size of needle to choose and how much stitches to cast on. And now I have everything ready and can start knitting.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care! Over the head! Turn around! Richard, do you want to get shot?
It's about time I updated you all on my, as I call it now, no pressure sweater. Every day I want to film an update, but I don't, because I'm either too engrossed in a movie and by the time it ends it's already too late and I try to go to bed on time, or I'm just too tired and in no condition to film. So I was procrastinating and before I knew it I already finished the front panel of my sweater. And right now I'm working on a back panel and still I haven't updated you all on my progress. So let me show you the details. So this is the front panel of a sweater that I finished. It looks a little smaller than it is because the edges are rolling inward. I'm very happy with how it turns out and especially I'm happy with the colors I chose. I started with darkest color and used it for my bottom hem ribbing, and I plan to use it also for cuffs and for neck bands. Partly because it's practical to have darker cuffs and neck bands, but also because I like in a colorful garment to have darkest color against my skin, because I think that it works best with my skin tone. I did the ribbing while watching Fugitive, one of my favorite movies, and then on the next evening I don't really remember what I watched then, I picked at random this light gray color with metallic thread in it, and when I started working with it pretty much on the first row, I felt that it demands some kind of simple lace motif. So I just browsed through my stitch dictionaries and I stopped on the first lace pattern that I liked. And I continued to work on this piece in that manner, basically changing colors and textures whenever I felt like it, and pretty much every stripe of color that you see represents approximately one evening and one movie with some YouTube mixed in. It is very fun to knit that way, without playing, just doing what I feel right at the moment, and the result is actually surprisingly looks very intentional. It doesn't look random or messy, which I like, but I cannot stress enough how little planning went into it. Basically none whatsoever. When I chose those colors, I pretty much envisioned something like that, and it worked even better than I thought. I like, for example, how in this section here I have white and pink and light gray all going together, and they are creating this fluffy and romantic and cute combination. But then it breaks up with those dark red and dirty yellow. Some people say it's orange, but I say it's yellow, which are much more dark and saturated, and they are such autumn earthy tones, and they are much more my colors, because I don't often go for whites and pinks, but all of them together to me look very fresh and much more interesting than if I would choose only pastels or only those dark colors. I have stitches for shoulders on hold because I plan to graft them with my back panel, and I have stitches for neckband on hold because I want the fit to be quite drapey and elastic, and if it would stretch out a little bit across my shoulders, it's only for the best. The fit will only improve with some stretchiness. I wasn't expecting to knit it quite as fast as I did, and so I'm already working on the back panel. And the back panel and sleeves I plan to do in simple stockinette stitch because I don't want my sweater to be lacy all over. I think that it would work best if only the front panel will have some lace in it, but I'm matching my stripes on the back to my stripes in the front. I just hold them together and compare and stop knitting in color when I see that it's approximately the right size. So I guess that's everything that I have to say right now, and I will see you all when I will finish my back panel, and then we will see how it fits. Hello everyone, just a little quick update. I just thought that I should show you how exactly I am working on this no pressure sweater of mine. Well, this is how it looks. I work on it whenever I have time, and right now I am in my, well, let's say workshop that is adjacent to my garden, and I'm turning this into this. But the thing is that despite it being work for a whole day, there's a lot of windows of time where I can't do anything, and that's where my knitting is coming handy. And I can do anything because my old belt sandpaper is overheating, so after every plank that I sand, I have to give it like 15 minutes to cool off. And that is the time that I use for knitting, because 50 minutes here and 50 minutes there, and that's how the project is growing. And of course I have to go and hide my project every time because this work is very dusty. I work in gloves, so my hands are clean, but I can't allow my project to even touch my clothes. So this is how it looks sometimes. Not always it's sitting in front of a movie screen and enjoying yourself. Sometimes it's just waiting until your belt sander will cool off. And did it cool off? Yes. So I'll finish my row and get back to it. I would say that I'm sitting enjoying the silence, but it's not actually very silent because I'm not the only one who's working right now. The row is done, so I need to go hide it. Little by little, one stripe at a time, the front and the back are both done and ready to be put together. I didn't bind off any stitches, the neck openings are done with the short rows and left on circular needles. The shoulders are also left on hold. And now I'm taking one evening to do the grafting. After doing both shoulders, I picked up stitches for the neckband. It is also in a dark red yarn in 2x2 ribbing, same as the bottom hem. This time I couldn't decide on a movie I wanted to watch, so instead I'm relaxing and knitting to some music. Take a guess at what I'm listening to at the moment. If you wonder what is it on the top of my head, it's just a stripe of crochet fabric that I wrap around the handle of my headphones. The quality of sound is superb, but the size is too big for me. This stripe helps me solve this problem. Now that the neckband is in place, it's time for side seams, but first, seam blocking. When knitting a sweater in pieces, it's much more convenient to block it before seaming. The fabric will behave better. I like to seam with a crochet hook. Mattress stitch takes a long time and is not so easy to unravel again. I'm often redoing things and modifying things, and crochet seam just so easy to take apart. I'm always keeping in mind the possibility that I may need to disassemble my sweater in the future. And with the crochet seams, the sweater becomes kinda like child's construction set. Grafting, blocking, seaming, every such task takes little time, and there is a temptation to rush through them. But pacing is key in a project that's supposed to be no pressure. So all of it took me about 5 days. Now it's time to finally try it on before starting on the sleeves. Just did the seams, trying it on for the first time. Well, I really like it. High collar, comfortable length, stripes are matching in the back and in the front, the armhole of a comfortable depth. So far this project is smooth sailing all the way. It is really no pressure sweater. And now I'm going to do the sleeves. I'm gonna pick up stitches here and do them top down in a round. They're going to be stripy and stockinette stitch. I should probably start with a dark red again, and then it will look kinda like saddle shoulders. Is it too late to pick up stitches right now? It's probably too late. I don't have a second sleeve syndrome, or second sock, or second anything syndrome. I find this last part of a project one of the most enjoyable. I tried my sweater on multiple times while knitting first sleeve, and now I know that it fits. The only thing left is to repeat first sleeve exactly in the same way, which is fast and easy. Every decrease is marked with a French bulb pin. While knitting the second sleeve, I can see the finish line and I'm getting that much more excited to get to it. At the same time, it's very restful and relaxing knitting. There is no uncertainty left. My favorite part, definitely.
Were you in the room when he was murdered? How can you explain that?
There was someone else in that room, Mr. Bale.
What I don't find enjoyable is weaving in all these ends. And there is a lot of them. So many ends. But I'm determined to do them all before filming final reveal and giving you my thoughts on finished sweater. So, some YouTube, a little patience, and by little I mean a lot, and we're going to be just fine. Past me totally didn't care enough about future me. So my final thoughts on this project. I like how it looks. I adore the colors. The more I look at it, the more I like them. And I'm very glad that I managed to get the balance between lightness and warmth right, because this is exactly the type of sweater that I needed in my wardrobe. As much as I like to knit something just because it's pretty, I also like to knit practical things. And this one I know that I would wear a lot because I had the need for something just like that. So I was knitting this sweater approximately for 3 months, and it's pretty fast considering that I only knitted when I had time in the evening, when I was watching a movie, or in the moments of waiting, and there were weeks when I didn't even touch it. Overall, this experiment with knitting for fun, without planning, without much thinking, was a huge success in my opinion, because knitting it was very fun and restful. And this is something that I would like to do in the future. I would like to incorporate those types of projects into my day-to-day routine. Having said that, there are some things that in the future I would like to do differently. Leaving all those ends until the last moment was a mistake for several reasons. First, I hate weaving in the ends. Second, I hate weaving in the ends. And third reason, I hate weaving in the ends. And last but not least reason is that I like to have an option of disassembling my sweater if I would want or would need to. When you weave in the ends with a tapestry needle, it's almost impossible to get them out again. At least it's not easy. If I interlock my ends and just knit them in the fabric as I go, then when I need to unravel a piece, it comes out just like that. Easy. But I guess it's just a lesson for the future. Some techniques are better for me and I should use them. In the future I should still do a little bit of thinking, just to spare myself trouble. And of course in this sweater there are some little moments that make it not so polished as it would be if I was making it for a pattern. For example, I wouldn't be able to grade it for multiple sizes because the construction just wouldn't allow it. I made it work for me because I was constantly trying it on and it fits me. It will not fit as well on someone with a different body shape. So it's a good thing that I'm not making it into a pattern. It fits me the way I wanted, and it proves that for myself I can whip out sweater with my eyes closed. Also check out matching sweater on my productivity bear. It's a little tradition of mine. Whenever I finish a garment, my bear gets a matching one. Could you just stop barking, please? I always have been a monogamous knitter, and not surprisingly, it turned out that I'm a monogamous knitter again. Because 50 minutes here, 50 minutes there, in the course of... And of course I have to go and hide... Oh. Smooth side, lacy side, smooth side, lacy side. I don't wanna do that right now. I was weaving ends for so long. My hair has grown out.